Okay, I'd like to ask the first question. So, in your argument, what you're essentially saying is shift the priority away from middle and high school funding and move it down to pre-K. So wouldn't all of your supposed effects fade away when these students go back into the schools that are now, one, underfunded and underachieving?
There's two things. First, these schools aren't underfunded. We've indicated that APS spends way more per pupil spending on underachieving schools than schools with higher graduation rates. Secondly, we don't think that their dreams are being unfulfilled or that they're unable to conquer these things because we focus on pre-K and expanding that, especially since we're not taking away funding from underachieving schools in the status quo. We think that we can either retroactively try to patch up damage that's already done and beat a dead horse when we already give increased funding to underachieving schools, or remedying the root of the issue, ensure that there's never an equity gap that we need to fix in the first place. My question is that we've estimated that our plan will cost around $2.5 million more than we currently spend. Can funding underachieving schools completely close the achievement gap? And if so, what is the financial threshold for that? I'm putting emphasis on what you think enough funding is to close the gap, especially since we already give money to underachieving schools in the status quo.
So you can't effectively put a price on our future. The Apollo 11 space mission cost $355 million. It takes dollars to ensure that we have a brighter and stronger future. But I'm glad you bring up cost in this issue. Fact of the matter is the APS institutions have earned their increase in funding. You look at third grade mathematics USC proficiency rates between 2014 and 2018, there was a steep increase while at the same time we increased per pupil spending. They earn the money, they earn the increase in spending, and we're not going to stop at anything, no financial threshold, until these students have proficiency rate of 100%, because we want to ensure that all students graduate college and career ready. Now let me ask you a question. So when we talk about pumping more money into these schools, we're not just throwing money at them. We're talking about academic resources, counseling centers, writing centers. So my question to you is, what does funding pre-K do now for the Grady High School freshman who's struggling on his English paper?
I've already answered your question. We already give more money to underachieving schools than we already do to schools that are upperachieving. We think that we should attack the root cause of the issue. We've identified the achievement gap starts at age 2. By closing the achievement gap then, there's never room for it to grow.
Okay, you have a question?
Yes. So you've drawn a correlation between increased APS funding and higher achievement levels over the years, but correlation does not prove causation. So how can you account for causation, especially without reverse causal evidence? I'm asking about real empirical evidence that proves causation.
Well, I'm glad you brought up real empirical evidence, because I'm going to take you back to the third grade mathematics USC proficiency scores between 2014 and 2018. The scores are going up at the same time that we're increasing funding. If you're looking for causation, I point you to APS's student success funding model. They're literally making a conceded effort to ensure that every dollar they get goes directly into the schools and that they see it directly in front of them.
That's not what causation means.
Then what is it? I'm literally telling you that the scores are going up at the same time the money is going up, and the students can see the materialization of the funds that are being spent on them. What else do you want?
Sure,
you want to put the money directly into their bank accounts?
Reverse causal evidence.